everybody, it's me, Robotron, and welcome to this special episode of Smash TV. Smash TV Must Smash, where I show you 10 of my most favorite and must-see movies. This is a list of personal favorites regardless of whether or not there are better movies in the same genre out there. These movies struck a nerve deep enough where other movies did not, or have been seen multiple times without losing the enjoyment of watching it. You might see a little bit of a pattern in this must-smash list, and yes, I do like me some satanic movies. It's a genre that, when done right, allows for that psychological horror of the mind, something that hits much harder for me than Soon Loon waving his axe after a bunch of scantily clad girls running away from him. A Dark Song brings us the story of Sophia, who is seeking to speak with her deceased son. She brings in the help of occultist Joseph Solomon, played by Steve Oram, who will lead her through a grueling months-long ritual to raise a guardian angel. A Dark Song will be one of those movies many people will find boring or slow. You are treated to a lot of scenes that make you wonder what you are watching, but it all comes together beautifully and offers a conclusion that is truly wonderful. Solomon subjects Sophia to some horrible tasks which makes her and the viewer wonder if he's a fraud or not. Her rebellious nature can screw up everything, but what does it matter if it's all fake anyways? Together with these two people we slowly figure out what is real and what's not, and are left to wonder what we are seeing, until it is revealed. And what is revealed is not only the reality of what we just witnessed, but also a deeper meaning of loss, acceptance and other emotions people deal with. A Dark Song is an apt title for a movie like this, in more ways than one. Smash that. Brawl in Cellblock 99 is a neo-noir thriller written and directed by S. Craig Zeller, someone who anyone who loves movies needs to keep an eye on. We are presented with Vince Vaughn, who plays Bradley Thomas, a former boxer and drug mule who just got laid off from his mechanic job. After some particularly violent altercations, Thomas is put in prison. While in prison, certain things happen that force him to do some nasty things, after which he is put in a strange and secretive cell block 99. Not being a man who only takes a punch, Bradley attempts to change what is coming at him the only way he can, with violence. Brawl in Cellblock 99 is a special movie with a distinct look and feel. The term neo-noir comes close to what it is, but the vibe that goes through this movie feels cold and calculated. It's unapologetic and brutal, but there's a certain beauty in it that compels you to keep watching instead of looking away in disgust. Cellblock 99 isn't a happy movie. You won't feel great after watching it, but you won't feel miserable either. You'll feel as if something was witnessed that is real. Cellblock 99 is something you need to experience. This movie might not be for the sheepish cinema goer that enjoys their blockbusters and Hollywood extravaganzas, but any movie aficionado cannot go without watching this movie, and then continuing to Dragged Across Concrete and Bone Tomahawk, made by the same director and writer, S. Craig Zeller. Smash that. Falling Down is once again one of these 90s movies that struck me on a deeper level than expected. It brings us the story of two people who are pretty much in the same situation with a few differences. The character only named as Fiennes, played by Michael Douglas, takes a different path than the one played by Robert Duvall, who ends up hunting him. Douglas' character pretty much snaps after being stuck in a traffic jam in the scorching heat with annoyances all around him. He decides to go home to visit his little girl for her birthday. Unfortunately, besides the fact he gets stopped many times on his travels towards her, he is also not welcome there. Falling Down is an amazing story with some great symbolism, from the depiction of violence on TV to the gradual increase of said violence in the character of Fiennes and the weapons he gets. From how Duvall avoids the same pitfalls due to a simple joke and the love of a woman. Falling Down has some amazing memorable scenes and is, by far, my most watched movie for a reason. Smash that. Hereditary is a psychological horror movie about a family that gets to experience some truly awful stuff after the death of their reclusive and strange grandmother. We witness the slow and meticulous mental degradation of Annie Graham, played masterfully by Toni Collette, whose leering insanity brings down the rest of the family. Things happen. A lot of weird things happen. Awful things. No spoilers. What makes Hereditary so effective besides the plot and the acting is the sound design and visual presentation. Most of the movie uses sound as some sort of psychological weapon of the senses. There are scenes where the sound is so prevalent it starts gnawing at you, slowly eroding your defenses until something snaps. It uses visual cues based on the miniature building hobby from the main character to make reality look like a dream, often mixing the two to give a sense of surrealism. All these things combined: the sound, the visuals, the acting, the agony, the horror of what's happening take away, slowly, gradually, from your mind. After seeing Hereditary, I was in a state of mild shock for a couple of minutes, merely staring and processing what just happened. It actually made me check if nothing was going on and made me feel like a kid again who is scared in the dark. Usually when hearing noises I grab a weapon and venture out, but with this something actually lingered inside, which made this amazing. I have not seen this movie multiple times and I wonder if it would still have the same effect the second time, but regardless, Hereditary is true horror and a must-see. Smash that. In the Mouth of Madness is another great multi-layered movie where Sam Neill plays an insurance investigator called John Trent, who discovers that books written by a very popular writer called Sutter Kane do more than just entertain people. What Trent does not realize is that his investigations will literally take him into the Mouth of Madness. In the Mouth of Madness weaves the works and character of Stephen King and Howard Phillips Lovecraft in a most delightful manner. Besides the parallels in stories and occurrences in books, the movie title itself is a derivative of Lovecraft's book The Mountains of Madness. It weaves the plot so thoroughly that you will keep guessing as to what is going on. In the Mouth of Madness is, rightfully so, a cult classic and a must-see for any fan of Sam Neill, fantasy, cosmic horror, Stephen King, H.P. Lovecraft and good movies overall. Smash that. Mike Mendez Killers aka Real Killers is a mid-90s gem featuring two brothers, Odessa Lee and Carl James, who don on their trench coats, put on their combat boots and put some insanely cool face paint on before violently killing their parents while they are sleeping at the tunes of Inagada Dia Vida from the Iron Butterflies. Fleeing from the cops, they hide in the home of a seemingly unsuspicious suburban family of four. As time passes, you will wonder who is holding who hostage, as the suburban family are not what they seem. What follows is a crazy, almost hallucinogenic trip into madness and the weirdest pits of hell. The movie, mainly due to the intro and the acting, has an extremely weird vibe going on from the beginning to the end. There's an almost constant foggy atmosphere making what happens seem surreal, even to the mundane parts at the start before you realize that something is actually off. Odessa Lee and Carl James, despite being the bad guys of the story, are so charismatic you will find yourself rooting for them, which does not mean that the family are the actual culprits. To talk too much about this movie would spoil too much, so I'll just say that this is definitely a must-see of mid-90s edgy cinema with a whole lot of violent indie scattered across it. Killers is unapologetic and good fun. Not for the quaint or the narrow-minded, but beware. Decades after seeing Killers for multiple times, I found it again on YouTube, and this version had a completely different ending, which kinda ruined the excellent ending of the version I and others in the comments saw. So please, do yourself a favor and look for what I call the original ending rather than a longer ending. I'm not sure if the other ending is part of the director's cut or not, and I can't find anything about this due to the obscurity of this movie, but I can say that my copy of 1 hour 27 minutes and 04 seconds is the correct one. Smash that. The Exorcist is another one of those movies you just have to see. An epic classic about a girl who gets possessed by a demon and how two priests attempt to save her from the clutches of darkness. The writer and creator Willem Peter Blatty was partially discontent seeing his story twisted that he decided to do it himself and set out to direct his novel Legion for the big screen. And thus Exorcist III was born, set 15 years after The Exorcist. We follow police officer Lieutenant Kind Dearman, played by legendary George C. Scott, as he investigates some gruesome, religiously inspired murders by a serial killer named the Gemini Killer. Things change when the murders get personal and Kinderman realizes he is up against a stronger and more dangerous enemy than a mere human. Exorcist III is what you would call a psychological horror, and though it does rely on some jump scares, there's a long nagging unsettling vibe going through you for the whole movie. Something feels off. Something lurking in the corner of your eye, underneath your skin, a shadow in the darkest corner of your room, making the scares justified rather than just a loud noise. It's a tense movie about good versus evil, with enough callbacks to the original to make a strong continuation of the original story. My advice therefore would be to watch the first Exorcist before watching this one. Please skip Exorcist II. However, the acting by George C. Scott and Brad Dourif are excellent as always, and Blatty's directing feels tight, a broken bar almost mirroring the way Friedkin makes his movies. Exorcist III is an underrated and underappreciated gem. Smash it. Smash it hard. Smash that. The Truman Show brings us the story of Truman, played by a slightly more serious Jim Carrey, a normal everyday nice guy who needs his lovely neighbors in his lovely suburban neighborhood and goes to his lovely work doing his lovely quirky thing. Everything is lovely, a little too lovely, until a fateful day that a light falls from the sky and Truman begins to doubt everything around him. Truman begins to investigate and quickly finds out things are not what they seem and comes to a shocking revelation that will alter his whole perception of the world. I saw The Truman Show first in class and was so enthralled in the movie that once class was done I had the enormous sense of dread that nothing around me was real and that everyone was merely a figment of my imagination or an actor in a play. It was the most lonely and paranoid I have ever felt, and it lasted a good 4 hours before it went away. A movie that can make you react like this, albeit subjectively, is definitely a must smash, and it doesn't harm that it's well acted, beautifully shot, well written, funny, dramatic and exciting at the same time. Smash that. 5 criminals meet during a police lineup and decide to pull off a big heist involving millions of dollars in precious emeralds. The story is told by Roger Verbilkint, played by Kevin Spacey, who is being interrogated by a police detective trying to find out what has happened and why he is one of the 2 survivors. We weave through stories and timelines and piece together the story bit by bit, slowly revealing more and more about the mysterious figure called Kaiser Sose. The Usual Suspects is one of those movies you can't really talk about. You just have to see it, fresh and without any outside interference so as to not be spoiled. The way the movie uses the narrator to unfold what happens puts you straight into the investigation, which makes the reveal of what has happened even more impactful. Besides the writing and the plot, we are served by an excellent cast: Benicio del Toro, Giancarlo Esposito, Gabriel Byrne and of course Kevin Spacey, who, despite allegations and weird YouTube videos, still is an excellent actor. Check out The Usual Suspects and enjoy. Smash that. Let me preface that we talk about the original 1990 version of Jacob's Ladder and not the 2019 remake of the same name that doesn't know what the original was all about. Jacob's Ladder stars Tim Robbins as a postal worker mourning his dead child who all of a sudden gets plagued with visions and hallucinations of his ex-wife, his time in the Vietnam War and some very strange and nasty demonic characters. The character ventures out trying to survive the onslaught of hallucinations and attempts to figure out whether what he is experiencing is reality or madness. Jacob's Ladder is a tight, often scary surrealistic movie that made the tears so typical. The genius in Jacob's Ladder, for me, was the fact that I discovered a whole other level when I watched it the second time. Alert viewers might see it the first time, but it felt amazing to see the double layers that this movie has to offer upon reviewing. So, if you're one of those people who think the movie is about something, then please watch it again later and see that it's about so much more. Jacob's Ladder is a cult classic and an underrated gem. Smash that. And there you have it, my 10 most favorite movies, unless I have forgotten about some other movies that are great too. But then again, I wouldn't have forgotten them, I guess. A broken bar, who knows? I'm just a positronic supercomputer with infinite capabilities.